Well, good afternoon, Mr. President, and thank you so much for being with us for this third Ask Our Expert online conversation. It's not often that we have a head of state as an expert, so we are immensely proud to have you with us and most grateful to you. Our topic today is quantum leadership in times of pandemic. Quantum behavior is something you've been studying as a theoretical physicist and practicing as a head of state. I recall that you presented this intriguing idea at a seminar of mine in Chamonix in September 2018. It was picked up by John Fondrier, the innovation editor of the Financial Times, who was also in Chamonix. He immediately wrote an article about it, and then the expression became viral. By quantum politics, you meant that the classical world of post-Newtonian physics, linear, predictable, even deterministic to some extent, had come to an end and was being replaced by the quantum world, highly uncertain and interconnected, incredibly complex, and also changing depending on the position of the observer. We'd like you to share with us three things, if we may. First, some insights that stem from the many conversations you are having with national leaders and heads of international organizations. Second, your views on how the current pandemic crisis crystallizes the issue of quantum leadership. And third, your take on the accusations of failure of leadership in the current crisis that are very often seen in the print and on social media.
I take this opportunity to invite all of our friends and colleagues to the next Summit of Minds in Armenia, which unfortunately we have postponed to autumn, hoping that we will be towards sort of an end of coronavirus and you will be able to travel. Otherwise, I am determined that we will do it in a different form. Maybe we do that Summit of Minds this form. Why not? I think this is a new world, and we have to live with the new rules of the new world. Some people say that this is a new virus, this is more aggressive, the behavior is different. Sure, that the new virus is a new virus, and the viruses are inhabitants of this planet with us. Somehow we are two species, among others, fighting for survival, and for them, their behavior is quite explainable why they are there, why they are mutating, why they are changing in order to survive, like we are doing in order to survive. But what's different this time? It's not that the virus is different. Definitely it is different virus, maybe a bit more aggressive, maybe a bit quicker, maybe a bit more dangerous than the previous ones. But what is changing and what has changed in reality is the world. Because if you look back, pandemics were present on this planet. Even if we go back 2,000 years, there were records, historic records that the pandemics were there. Sometimes these pandemics were lasting not years, not tens of years, decades, but even hundreds of years. Majority of these pandemics were bacteria-based, and then eventually there were also some that were related to viruses, but the bacteria-based was connected with hygiene. And of course we found overall a solution to survive nicely with bacteria when we found how they work, and we found antibiotics. Probably, hopefully, in the near future, we will be in a situation to find a general solution for how we can survive with viruses without making them so dangerous in this or that form. But what has changed clearly is the world, that this world is much more interconnected, we're much more interlinked, much more fast, and this is my observation, or observation of some other people as well. Classical ways of development of this world, and specifically the classical behavior of global risks, has changed, and it has more and more the form of quantum behavior. First of all, this is a world of at least around 10 billion or a bit more or a bit less of inhabitants. Each of us, you can look at that as a particle, a very sophisticated and complicated particle. But we are interlinked, and each of us has several features, like every elementary particle. And the part of these features are mechanical, or they are material, starting who we are, our biological situation, our health situation, our temperature, and so on. And the other sides are virtual, and probably half of our life is already virtual. In our virtual life, we have started traveling with the speed of light, interacting with speed of light, and having completely new environment of relations. And we can see that how it's changing the way we exercise politics, the way we exercise entertainment, and how entertainment and politics are merging more and more. They were always sort of very close relatives to each other. There was always entertainment related, even in Egypt or in old Rome. But today is different. It's going to be merger of that. The way we exercise to deliver the messages to people, that's another aspect of what's happening. And this world has become fast, quick, and in many ways a quantum in its behavior. Let's look at what was the world before the coronavirus. I think it's amazing. There were millions of people traveling all over the world. And of course, if you go back another 30, 40, 50 years ago, 100 years ago or 200 years ago, I think these viruses or pandemics were moving with the speed of transportation, of logistics of those times. I mean, that was maximum the speed of a horse, going from one part of the world to the other. And now it's different. I think the first case of a virus could be in China, the next one eventually you get somewhere in Europe, like in Italy or Spain, and then the United States. So you don't have a classical path of this risk traveling worldwide. It's not only the pandemic or health risks that have quantum behavior. The quantum behavior is also the same is happening with the financial world. Well, Thierry, you used to work for an international bank. See what's happening with the stock markets today. And this is something that looked like a bit emotional, maybe. Information that was created somewhere in the world has huge impact on stock markets worldwide and on the economy as well. Look what's happening with the threats that we are facing in this world. Terrorism, one of them, also has a quantum behavior, because no longer terrorism is an organized group of red brigades somewhere, let's say in Europe, in the south of Europe, and they are organized group, they come together, they share an ideology, which is basically discussed by them or delivered through the press. But they are a group of people, and if they want to do a terrorist act, they have to move very classically. They get together on an idea, they get together, they organize, they plan. Today, unfortunately, any terrorist act doesn't need meeting people each other. Your idea should not be here and there. That idea could be absolutely virtual, and if there is a recipient, a particle that is ready to receive that idea, then that particle definitely will act, and will act completely independently in an unknown space and time, maybe somewhere in a European state, or maybe in America, maybe somewhere else, but you cannot predict where it will be happening, because it is absolutely quantum, the behavior. The person is ready to absorb the ideas, and this could be religious, extreme ideas, or extreme other ideas, and in order to start or design a terrorist act, you don't need an organization. It can be individual or 2-3 people together, and everything happens very quickly, unexpected. You can get all the necessary information on the web, how to do it, and this is what we see today. So many of our behaviors are absolutely quantum, and in many ways people act quantumly, and not only the risks are quantum, but also the developments of the economy, political life are quantum. That's why in many places we see acts when unpredictable acts of politics, where a candidate that was literally unknown or someone that people never would believe that candidate will win an election. The candidate wins the election because of many factors, and some of these factors are absolutely quantum, including the relations or communication between the candidate and the people. I always feel comfortable bringing my own country's example, because it's my own country. 2 years ago, exactly more or less 2 years ago, and after my inauguration as the President of the Republic, we had a revolution in Armenia, which happened in 2 weeks. I mean, the environment was there was a critical mass of unhappiness of people, but nobody was predicting that there'll be a revolution. A revolution started with just a couple of young people walking from the north of the country to the capital, and with specific slogan, which was a quantum slogan in a sense that was targeting exactly what the public opinion was there. And in a couple of weeks' time, what we had, 10 people became 10,000, then it became 100,000, 200,000, and we had a revolution, a completely unexpected one. Then we have seen this in many countries, including in Eastern Europe. From Ukraine, you go to Europe, you go to States and elsewhere. The world has changed, and pandemic is something that will probably will accelerate this transition from classical world to the quantum world. And I think this world definitely will not be the same that it was before the pandemic and after it. Well, the pandemic probably will last several months, or maybe a year and a half, until we'll not find a vaccine, or maybe it will come with another wave because it's quantum. Nobody can guarantee that it will not restart in China, although they are quite shown that quite an organization. But the world will be different. Although there is always a question mark, a big question mark, because we are human. In our brain, in our computer inside us, we have this fantastic key which is called delete. So we have this human quality of forgetting things. So the moment coronavirus is gone, people will start working hard in order to bring this world back to the normal. The normal is the classical one. And again, we will fail, because after a while, there will be another pandemic, or there will be another financial crisis, or there will be other risks that will become real, and they will again have quantum, and probably will have much bigger scale. So it's the time for us to start learning that the world is changing, and in order to fight pandemic or the financial crisis or any other risk of this world, we have to start changing the way we live. But it's changing fast, it's unpredictable, it looks unpredictable if you look at the issue from the point of view of a classical change. But if you start thinking about this world as a quantum world, then you'll find logical ways of explaining things, predicting them, of course with a specific probability, because quantum behavior, like in physics, is you are not speaking about deterministic, or you are not speaking about particles moving from one spot to another, crossing a specific curve. You are speaking about the probability of specific event or a particle being in different parts of time and space with specific probability. But you can be more sort of ready to predict what's going to happen than if you look at the things from the point of view of classical. This is something that I've been thinking for many years, and I was lucky for that the last 2.5 years I have a co-author or a good partner with him. We have written the first book, which is with the publisher. Now, did I manage to give you the sense of what I'm talking about? And the main subject is that this is a changing world. It's going to change much more faster than we even imagine. And we have to be ready to do that. And if we will start thinking, going back to the way we were before this coronavirus, then we'll be wasting time. It will come again as this virus, that virus, any other virus. It could be a virus on the World Wide Web, it could be a virus and a global hacking, and everything will stop. And it will be we have to start rethinking how this world is going to be run and take the lessons of that. In order to understand, we have to understand that it's not about the virus at all. Virus is something dramatic, virus is something tragic, it has already taken thousands and thousands of lives. Virus is something that any government, including my government, has to fight today, but the conclusion is that if we are only focusing as a virus and as just an accident that has happened now, it will never come back, then we are mistaken. This is the new world that we are going to live, and we have to be ready to face this world and to be ready for others. Well, imagine before the virus, if President of the United States would have been announcing to the world that he is going to invest $1 trillion into healthcare or the economy of the United States. What would have been the reaction of people worldwide? Starting from the stock market, because this is a huge amount of money eventually going into the industry and so on. Or many other presidents or the countries or the prime ministers who are running their economy, and they have to inject money in order to prevent the virus. But injecting all of that money is going to change many things, including how we run our free market, how we are running the stock exchange, how the companies will be valued, because that amount of money into the new stock exchange. I'm picking up an idea and going with you forward. This is going to change dramatically even many of our values, and how we eventually are going to solve this. We have all of the means, the governments have all of the means in order to do much more predictable. Even if you forget about the theory of quantum politics, you will start utilizing or managing your management of the country with the qualities or the tools of quantum world, without even realizing or thinking that what you are doing is quantum, not classical. So what is 10 billion people? It's 10 billion, the 10 billion individual units. Okay, each of that unit today is carrying something that basically transmits very valuable information. We live that world. A lot of companies know what is our taste. They do the advertising, the chocolates that we like, or the tourism or the travel that we like, and so on and so on. So the companies are a bit further than maybe the governments are. But information is there. And what is 10 billion? It's nothing for a supercomputer or a computer that is based on quantum computing with an artificial intelligence. So eventually you can model the whole population of the world. So what sort of world society we're heading with the changes that they are coming, with the huge power and with the understanding that we are individuals carrying information that will be available, manageable, analyzed, and our relations are very, very fast and quick. And then you can go even further than that. You can go even further than that, because then it comes to a simple question. In this new quantum world, what will look like the free will of an individual, of the particle, of a human being? Because that will could be managed, designed, or guided by an external magnetic field or electric field. So you'll start moving towards something because the magnetic field is there. So because somebody or a government has decided to move you, all of you somewhere. And if you are very well organized, or a society that everybody is a specific similar particle, so has the same behavior, the same electric charge, and you put a magnetic field, all of these particles will move in the same direction. If you're a complex society, there are particles that will be no charge, no electric charge. There'll be some positive, some negative, so you put the magnetic field, majority of particles will move there, but there'll be particles that will be moving the other direction in the society. Or there will be some ones that will not be affected by your magnetic field because they don't have a charge. That's this comparison, of course, is artificial, but I want just to have the feeling that we're not particles, of course, we're much more complex, and in reality every particle is complex as well, as far as we know. But the reality is we're entering a world that external fields designed can guide you, and you will not feel it maybe. So the question is, where is your free thought or free decision making power? Where is that? Of course, pandemics, we have to fight it. And it reminds us also that in many ways we are traveling too far, too many. Probably we can manage this world, our business, be that political business or other businesses, maybe without traveling. Every day I look from my window. There is a beautiful painting here behind me, Mount Ararat, the biblical Mount Ararat, which is the symbol of my nation. Creatures landed together with Noah after the flood. So is this a new flood happening to us? Is this the only flood that will be happening to us? And will we find as humans the next Mount Ararat to land on it and to restart our society? That's a big question. But one thing is clear, that every morning when I go to the top floor of my house, I look at Mount Ararat, I can see it much more clear, because the air in Yerevan has become much better, 2-3 times better than it was before. Why? People don't drive cars, they are mostly sitting at home, or even they drive when it's a necessity there. So this very sensitive, tragic event is also giving us a message that we can manage our lives with much less damage to the nature. Let's rethink about it. So the message of this tragedy to us humans is that why don't we think about resetting ourselves? Because if we don't do it, the world is changing, everything is going to change. Do you want to call it a new world, faster world, whatever name you will give it to this new world, it's not going to be the same as it was before. Not before the coronavirus, but before, let's say, 30, 40 years. So we better recognize that we're living in a new world. All of our activities, be that risks, be that politics, the way we run business, how we manage our relations with the nature, have to be changed. If we don't change it, we're going to hit another pandemic, this or that form. So the message is clear. We have to think it properly and really.